Welcome to the Centre for Legal Innovation's Legal Techy Tuesday series. We are very excited to have David Hepburn and Tyler Bannerman from Actionstep here with us today. David is Actionstep's Global President and Tyler is a key account executive Australasia. David and Tyler will be showcasing Actionstep's flexible legal practice management software that is transforming law firms' productivity at every step. Again, welcome. Fabulous to have you here. And now over to David and Tyler.
Christine, thank you very much. And hello, everybody. It's great to be with you today on this Techy Tuesday. My name's David Hepburn. As Christine said, I run Actionstep day to day around the world. And I'm very excited to be here with Tyler Bannerman, who's one of our key account leaders in this region of the world in New Zealand and Australia.
Hello.
So we got a pretty packed agenda for you today. But just by means of kind of introduction, some of you may or may not know, but Actionstep has over 12,000 daily users around the world, mainly in the UK, the US, New Zealand. We have a major base in Australia too, though. And our customers come in all legal shapes and sizes, all sorts of practice types, but usually firms with 5 or more lawyers, although we do have many solos who use Actionstep. Our biggest customer, for example, has 200 users. Walking in our customers' shoes is an essential part of our life at Actionstep and fundamental if we're going to build great software for lawyers. And throughout the last 12 very interesting months, 4 themes have really come to the fore from our customers. We've seen customers really trying to create consistent client experiences, thinking about how they can support greater self-sufficiency, given that they're working remotely a lot of the time now, and even in some cases permanently. We're really hearing them trying to figure out how to improve data visibility and report better, particularly in distributed environments. And finally, given all the change that's occurring in the world, really support the evolution and hopefully growth of their firm. Today, we are going to explore how your practice management system can help you achieve the above goals, but we're going to use Actionstep to show you what a practice management system can do to support these themes. If you're not familiar with Actionstep, let me just give you a quick overview. We are a one-stop platform for your practice that's flexible, easy to use, and can support automation on many levels for activities within your practice. Our secret sauce, other than being just great, easy to use, is a really powerful workflow engine that connects all these feature sets you see on the screen, whether it be around matter management or intaking a client, through to billing them, and even managing your accounting and GL. The really cool part of this is that Actionstep, with that powerful workflow, can really be flexed around how you operate as a practice. So let's dive in. And the first theme I'd like to talk about today is client experience. Every lawyer I know will tell you, or tells me and will tell you that they are client focused. And obviously your top priority is your clients. But how do you really put this into action? Actually, one of the key pieces of the jigsaw for us, you can see in the diagram there, that the client is right at the center of how you operate. And that relationship between you and your client is key. But there's really no one person in your firm that controls client experience. It's a really firm-wide endeavor and something that occurs when someone calls in for the first time or logs a website inquiry form and talks to your receptionist or admin. They may call for an update on their case and where it's at. You may want to send them updates throughout the process and keep them highly informed. And you may want to share information with them and also get information back from them as you build the case. And clearly, service expectations are getting higher all the time. And it's at these types of experience around service that really drive your customers' propensity to recommend or talk highly about your services. How do you make sure your interactions and communications with your clients really add up to exceptional client experience? And I think if you don't already, you can learn how to control every step of your client's journey with your firm and really deliver that awesome client experience. So let's dive in. The first piece of the story today we're going to talk about is client intake. And the really first piece there that we'd like to dig into is that inquiry form that might come to your website, how you might conflict check and check whether that client is already on your system or someone that you have previously dealt with. And then finally, how you might kick off a workflow and an engagement letter, for example, with them. So Tyler's going to show you in Actionstep how that works. Over to you, Tyler.
Creating great client experiences is one of the most important things in a modern law firm today. Right from the get-go, you want to ensure that you are giving a great client experience from right when they interact with your firm for the first time on the website. Actionstep customers are doing this by utilizing one of our most popular functions, web forms. This gives you the ability to create a form for your client to fill in on your website. This can be used for a very simple website inquiry, or it can be used for perhaps a client intake process as well. You can choose the fields that your client will be entering, and then that information can come straight through into Actionstep. These can be kept as standard forms that are posted on your website, or you can turn this into a more interactive experience using one of our integration partners, Joseph, to turn this into a bot interactive session. So as I can see here, I've got the fields that the client is actually entering as they're going through their client intake. So they'll just enter in some information into the system. What state do they live in? What's their phone number? What's the issue that they need to have the firm work on? And then finally, just picking a practice area. Now, these answers that the individual is filling in through this can be obviously text fields, they can be multiple choice, drop downs, they can select dates. So there's a wide variety of different types of information that you can be asking your clients to fill in. We'll select finally that this is a business sale. We'll finalize this, and now we're going to find that all this information has been brought through into Actionstep. And then when I go into Actionstep, I'll find a web form has come through. I can see I've got one client intake form that has been submitted. That's been submitted today. And now all I have to do is process this. Actionstep will double check to make sure that there isn't a duplicate in the system. And then all that information can come straight through into a new matter as well. The auto detect has found no new matches. All that information has come through. I simply have to add in maybe a few other bits and pieces, like maybe a postcode if I haven't asked for that in the form. And then that's all done. As I can see, I'm now on the final step of opening up that matter now that my client has filled in all the information. So we can go ahead and just give this matter a name. Assign it to one of my staff members. We'll have some automatic tasks get assigned to different staff members in the firm as this matter opens up. Betty's going to continue to be my client. I will be the lawyer in this case. My legal assistant can be Luke. And now all I have to do is finalize a few bits and pieces, all of which will come through into my initial engagement letter. Now that I've got my fee estimate in there, I can go ahead and create that matter. I now have this matter space, and I can continue to use workflow to drive automation in my process. Again, we'll have tasks start getting assigned. My documents can start to get created from that information the client and myself have entered, and we'll send out an automated email to the client, letting them know that we have opened up the matter, that we have sent them out that engagement letter, and to please go ahead and return that.
Awesome. Thanks, Tyler. So intake can be pretty easy and can obviously help support that first experience that customer has with your organization. Next up, we'd like to look at matter management and how you can use matter management to improve client collaboration and communications. There are ways that we can automate comms with your client. There are ways that you can use a secure portal to communicate directly with them and alert them to the arrival of key documents that they might need to review. Sending an SMS is a key aspect to reminders or even requests that you may have to a client. And finally, in this little segue, we'll show how you can deliver a wider range of high quality messages through a practice management system like Actionstep. So Tyler, over to you.
Delivering exceptional client experience obviously comes down to more than just how you onboard and intake your clients, but also your interactions with them throughout the matter and in the finalizations of the matter as well when you're wrapping up and delivering your final bills. Actionstep allows you to keep your clients consistently up to date, share documents and messages through secure portals, and also personalize messages when you're sending things like final bills as well. one of the key ways that our customers leverage Actionstep's workflow is provide great updates throughout the matter as it's being handled. Each workflow step is usually tailored with a key email that merges important client information. That way, that when the firm goes to move on to the next step, the client is being updated with what is going on. That all happens automatically and gives them that great client experience. Key dates can also have reminders for both the client and also for your internal staff as well. Key dates can have reminders that can be sent in a variety of different ways. If you go to something like the settlement info on this, I can see that the sale agreement date, the deposit due date, and the settlement date, as well as the possession date, have all got reminders and alerts tied to them. These alerts can be sent via email or they can be sent via SMS as well. Actionstep also has a secure client portal for your clients to access. You're able to share documents with them and messages through the portal by simply going to the secure document exchange, where you can give different levels of access to different folders. There's also a chat room available as well in the portal for your clients to log into and to actually send you messages as well. Finally, when you're going to actually draft the bill, you're able to provide more personalized messages. Simply by going to bill production and by going to send that out via email, you'll be able to select a bill, click email, and then you can begin to write that tailored message to my client as well. All of these things add up to better communication with your clients throughout their journey with your firm, and almost certainly guarantee future work with them as well.
Great, thanks, Tyler. Good stuff. And then the final piece of the jigsaw really is around some further communications and those really important messages that you might want to share with a customer. Tyler, over to you.
One of the most difficult elements of being a lawyer in today's modern world is keeping up with clients' expectations for regular communication. We've done a few things here at Actionstep to make that easier than ever for you. The first is through our client portal, where you can share documents, messages, and status updates with your clients through an easy encrypted portal. The second is through our Outlook integration and using email templates. The third would be for the ability for you to just have auto text messages sent from Actionstep as well. Going first to the client portal, you're able to give different parties access to this portal by simply going into the portal area here and then giving access to different folders. Once you've given access, your clients or those outside parties will receive an email invitation here where they can come into the portal easily, and then they'll be able to see their messages that have been sent to them, their documents, and any status updates as well. Anytime you as a firm interact with this portal, so whether you post new documents or new messages, then an auto email will be sent to the client giving them an update. Within a matter, you're also able to have auto text messages sent. When you create calendar appointments, Actionstep can automatically alert the client 24 hours in advance by text message, or 1 hour in advance of the appointment as well. You may have to send a one-off message where you can simply go to the green plus, go SMS, and write out that text that will be logged to the matter as well. Finally, we find that many of our customers are typing out the same email over and over again. Rather than doing that, we've created email templates so that our clients can come into their email inbox, and instead of writing out that email like they already have previously, they can simply choose to use a template, pick the matter that they're working on, select the template, and then let Actionstep do the rest.
Nice. Thanks, Tyler. And there at the end, you saw a really nice snippet of some technology that brings a lot of the power of Actionstep to a place where you actually work, such as Microsoft Office and Outlook. So let's now talk about self-sufficiency. We've heard a lot about this theme this year. And prolonged remote working has really exposed how much human glue exists within a practice. The need for self-sufficiency has actually crept up on us a little bit. Whether we're asking a practice manager for updates on billings or asking a team member for an update on client progress, this has become a lot harder when we're all distributed. Yes, you can message them and text them, but that's not the same as having, that face-to-face conversation about a particular client file. And we've all had to figure out how to do more ourselves. Now, when you figured out how to do it, it's easy, but a lot of these functions within a practice management system aren't things that lawyers usually interact with. And your practice management system, many of them can support this self-sufficiency, but there are some key components that are really important for you to think about as you try and do this. Is your practice management consistent to how you'd like to work? And is it easy to use? We know that a number of organizations that have come to Actionstep, really struggled with the simplicity and orientation of their practice management system to how they really operate. Is the practice management available? You spend most of your time, and you saw there in that previous clip that add-in in Outlook. That's key. That prevents context switching. So you're able to do much more of your work without having to leave Outlook or Word and go to another system to either log or draft something. Is your client journey or workflow baked in to your practice management system? And if it is, that will give you the confidence and visibility into the process and where it's at. Task, as Tyler showed you, enable collaboration and visibility. Has it been done? Who's working on that? Where's that at? And finally, you saw there very simple templates for emails, but key document templates and precedents are also really huge lifts through particularly some very repetitive areas of law that you can leverage some amazing automation within your practice management system that saves you time, but also delivers consistency and quality for your clients. And finally, having one system where you can log everything and all your documents live, all the emails associated with that matter live, all the collaboration and tasks really saves a great deal of time and supports that transparency and one version of truth, particularly as we're all living and working remotely, or at least more so today. So we've seen a number of customers really rethink admin roles within their practice. And that's not to say exit them from the business. They've really looked at figuring out how to focus admin or junior resources on high value work, because they're no longer doing some of the really administrative work that they would previously need, because you can do it yourself. And that work has usually found its way into supporting growth or delivering better client experience and value. So let's take a step into this. And Tyler's going to show you how you can have the most organized inbox you've ever had, how you can manage tasks, and finally, how templates and knowledge sources like a wiki within your platform can really help with that self-sufficiency and wider collaboration.
If there's one thing that 2020 has taught us, it's certainly that being able to collaborate with our team members through systems is of the utmost importance. In Actionstep, you have the ability to complete tasks, see what other people are working on, ensure that processes are being followed through workflow automation, and to also have easy access to completing those tasks across the different systems you use every day. When I'm in a matter, I'm able to easily come in here, see what tasks need to be worked on in regards to this file, whether this be mine, or if I have access to another person's matters and perhaps they're away for the day, you'll always be able to come in and see what work needs to be completed and where we're up to in the workflow as well. You can also go into your task list at the top and you can see your tasks, other people's tasks, or you can actually create custom task views that will always highlight specific tasks that are very important to you. You're also able to utilize this functionality across our Outlook integration. The whole point of this integration is making it so that you don't have to context switch. You don't have to move from Actionstep to Outlook and into all these other products as well. As we can see here on the right, I've got my Actionstep toolbar. We've already scanned my email and it's seen that, hey, Tyler is assigned as a party on this matter here and you've recently been working on it. Do you want to file that into this matter? I'll go ahead and file this email into there where I can again see where we're up to. I can see the parties WIP, outstanding trust balances, and file notes. And so that I don't have to actually move into Actionstep, I know that, hey, I've actually already amended that section for the day. So I'm just going to go ahead and mark that task as complete. And that's all done.
Nice. Thanks, Tyler. And from that add-in, you can also create tasks and initiate file notes and do a lot more really meaty work that otherwise you'd have to be context switching to your practice management system to do. So let's take a step. Of the 4 items that we talked about earlier, the third one is visibility and how you report and use data within your practice. And there are really 2 aspects that are important in this section. The first is very simple. Can you get at the data that's in your practice management system, turn it into some insights that can then drive action or some event or insight that you can take forward into your practice? And these may be various of all sorts. Where's your revenue and profit coming from? You know, which teams and members of your team are doing more, billing more? You know, how efficiently are we moving clients through our processes? You know, can you see that? How well are we taking care of our clients? You know, are we able to look at logs or communications with them? How do we create this continuous improvement concept within the practice that delivers that great client experience? And actually, very importantly, which clients are struggling? How do we know they're struggling? What data sources would help us figure out that we've got a challenged client that maybe needs or would benefit from us reaching out to them, whether it's unpaid bills or less work from them, whatever that may be. So that's very simple. That's literally getting at data and turning it into an insight. The second is slightly more esoteric. And this is a slightly harder concept to get your head around, but we've seen some of our most successful customers become extremely data-driven, not document-driven. So instead of thinking about documents, they think about data, and they use data very, very efficiently. They understand that if you can get the data right, you'll spend less time buried in documents by letting the technology do the work for you. So how they've done that is investing up front in process design and building data maps through their workflow, which they can leverage throughout the process. So actually, they're just looking for these key data points through the workflow and populating using automation and templates some of those key deliverables that clients will see, but they think wholly just from the data perspective, which is quite a big jump for a number of process-minded lawyers. Anyway, let's have another look at Actionstep, and Tyler can show you some of the key benefits around heads-up reporting, custom lists, and how we've also created a beautiful integration with Power BI that lets you really bring your data to life very powerfully across your practice.
In today's day and age, your practice management system needs to be a place where you not only enter data, but a place where you can also heavily analyze that data as well to find out where are the best directions to take your business. Actionstep allows you to do this in a variety of different ways, from our custom list views all the way through to our integration with Power BI. Actionstep allows you to create powerful views of different data in Actionstep where you pick and choose the most important information to you. You can do this across a number of different areas in the system. You can do this across your matters. You can do this across time entries and tasks, disbursements, contacts, and appointments as well. What these give you the ability to do is they give you the ability to pick pieces of information that are very important to you and then display it in tables. You can then filter down these tables. You can have them delivered to you as regular reports, and you can also edit and amend these as well as you might need. If I go to the nav bar here, if I go to matters and I go to my views, you'll see that you can have a number of different ones. So you can create views to track things like perhaps risk assessments. It could be wanting to track how much new business has each partner brought in, or who outside of your firm is actually referring you the most work. Simply pick and choose the information that you'd like to display, and then you'll be able to see here, for instance, in my partner new business, if I filtered this down for the partner, David Hepburn in this case, I've got these 3 matters that David's brought in so far this month. They're the revenue that's been generated, the current step that we're on, when was the most recent activity, and the most recent file note as well. You can pick and choose, as I mentioned, the columns of information that you'd like to display. You can have as many different columns appearing here as you'd like. You can then use the filters to run all sorts of different slicing and dicing on this. And if you don't want to have to come into this on a regular basis and you want to have this delivered to you regularly, you can have Actionstep deliver this to you as a regular report with a heads up rule. This allows you to create this, to have this report delivered to you on a monthly, weekly, or daily schedule as well. Aside from your list views, Actionstep does have over 100 standard reports in the reporting area of the system. And as I mentioned, you can sync Actionstep with Power BI to get some incredibly analytical data as well. How you have the information displayed is completely up to you, and this is very much a blank canvas for firms to work with, to put their own branding on, and to build reports in here that are fit for purpose for their individual firm. In this case here, I have a pretty standard one of budgets versus amount billed versus collected. This can be broken down in this case by team, by time period, and by the individual fee earner as well. You can do other things as well and get more creative with Power BI. We've seen firms that have tracked the number of website visits, how people are actually arriving at their firm's website, and then tracking and correlating that with the number of new matters opened in Actionstep as well. So this can be done by syncing not just Actionstep with Power BI, but also things like Google Analytics as well. Ultimately, reports like this are about your firm understanding what is working to bring in new business and what is not working. And it's data such as this that is going to help your firm improve, grow, and make better decisions in the long term.
Nice one. Thanks, Tyler. And just one thought, a lot of us don't appreciate the power of a Microsoft 365 license. Within that license is a license to Power BI, which is, as Tyler showed you there, a very powerful visualization tool for your data. And that obviously integrates really nicely with Actionstep data and other data, as Tyler showed you there. So again, it's really trying to leverage some of the spend that you're already making already today. Okay, so final topic for us today that I'm going to touch on is really the evolution and growth opportunity in your firm and how technology can support that. And I'm sure you all know, today particularly, no law firm is standing still. We are all wrestling with varying different economic and market trends, whether it's further automation in certain areas of law, high competition, fixed price services for certain areas of law, and global competition, particularly with firms specializing in key areas and being able to provide that across the globe. Either way, we're seeing a number of our customers really figure out how to utilize Actionstep in a way that helps their firm really thrive in this environment. And for sure, there are other organizations that are really struggling out there. But again, I think some of this is really down to technology. And look, from a practice management perspective, technology is purely an enabler. It is not the be all and end all by any means. But if it has the ability to flex and support the way you want to work at your practice, then that is really key. And it will help you evolve and take those steps that you need to really thrive in this economic and interesting market climate that we're in today. Some practice management systems are very rigid and are designed to operate one way. Others are best of breed into platforms where they have a lot of integrations that you use a lot of really fine point solutions to deliver. But in both cases, we've discovered, and we've seen a lot of organizations migrate to Actionstep over the last year or two. As I said, we have over 12,000 daily users of the platform, and many of them have come from places where there was a rigid system or lots of different integrations, which make the complexity of managing a practice management system really hard. Data's in different places, and as your firm evolves and changes, it becomes difficult to manage that. And if you haven't looked at cloud-based technologies and are on-prem today, you should really have a look. I'd really encourage you to. And things like Microsoft 365 is a great example of cloud software. Obviously, Actionstep is in that bucket too. There are some lookalikes out there that are kind of on-prem or in the cloud, but again, there's complexity that you should really try and understand and look at. And one of the things you will know from True Cloud is that they have an extraordinary security model, which is way more secure than the data you can store in your own laptop or in your server in your organization. And secondly, they provide some fantastic flexible licensing models where we've seen a number of customers this year dial up and down licenses through the year, depending on the volume of work that they've needed to take on or are growing to take on. So a huge amount we've covered today over the last 30 minutes. I really thank you for all your time and viewership. We're going to take some questions now from the floor. If that's what, I'm just going to migrate across to the question feed and have a little look and see what we've got here. Okay, let's have a look. So I'm a partner at a law firm, and we backed away from new PMS because we were worried about change management and training. How does your software help staff to adopt change? I don't know, Tyler, do you want to take that one and talk a little bit about how we approach the migration of customers from their current system to a new system?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, when it comes to obviously change management, really mapping out the project and really understanding your firm, I'd say are two extremely key things. So really it's about us working closely to, go and actually do the project at a time when it's not going to be a big disruption for the firm. We're going to do as much things as we can on the weekends to make sure that people aren't being, there isn't any sort of disruption during the week. But then also delivering lots of training as well once the firm actually goes live. We also support new customers with a number of different video libraries and help guides and those sorts of things as well to help firms on. And our customers have a great ability to chat with our team at any different given point with our chat functions as well in the system.
Yeah, one other thought that springs to my mind as we look back on the presentation we just did, I mean, the ease of use of the software is really key. And one thing I hope you've seen today is how kind of intuitive Actionstep is for the normal user, and you've seen us trying to bring the technology into places that you work. That's an important part of adopting a new system. And you'll find that we find that there are some very complex areas in Actionstep to support accounting or even trust accounting. But for your general user, it's really easy to kind of adopt and get a head around.
One of the other things I'd say as well is to wrap that up is this is one of the key things to workflow and using workflow to drive your process as well. The thing about when you come into Actionstep and start using it and start using that workflow engine is it might be a new piece of software for the staff, but the workflow engine is going to be giving people, key pieces of work to complete. It's going to be bringing up key documents that are going to be worked on at this point of the matter. So it's about also the workflow engine giving clear next steps as well.
Okay, thanks, Tyler. Got a couple of others here on the feed. How does Actionstep work for a mixed practice firm if we've got different matter types and sequences for different practice areas?
With Actionstep, just kind of coming back to that, Actionstep is such a flexible platform. It's not designed to be rigid and fit, in a square box for a particular practice area. It's about firms that have very unique practice areas and unique sequences, as said by the question, being able to bring those into Actionstep, automate those, and have our system molded around what your practice areas are.
Nice. And one final one here in terms of best practice and that client experience story. This person asks, how do we figure out what our best practice is and how we should kind of operate? Well, that's a big question. I think one of the key pieces is to try and document how you work to start with. Think about what your practices are, try and write them down and iterate on them. So Actionstep in your first install is great to just build some of your processes into, but actually then the opportunity is really to kind of learn and improve. We did a session recently in Australia with Carl White from CX In Law, and he had some great perspectives on how to think about how you differentiate yourself to your clients. And I suppose finally, take some advice. You know, there are lots of really smart people out there that can help you think about how you want to kind of build and adjust, or even indoctrinate your best practice into your technology. So that's all we had time for today. I think that's all we had on the question feed there. Christine, let me hand back to you.
Thanks, David. Thanks, David and Tyler, for an amazing presentation. It was really interesting to see how Actionstep helps law firms manage efficient, profitable practices, regardless of where their teams need to work. If you have any questions after the session, David and Tyler can be contacted on the details on the screen. A huge thank you to all of you who have attended today. On that note, we will draw to a close. As you know, the Centre for Legal Innovation is very much focused on these types of webinars, this type of information sharing, collaboration, and experience exchange. We are all about practical solutions. There will be many more webinars coming up in the Legal Techy Tuesday series, so don't forget to follow us on LinkedIn, Twitter, or Facebook for announcements. We look forward to welcoming you back to one of our events, and thank you again very much for joining us today. Thanks, David and Tyler. Bye, everyone.